Hey guys, it's your girl Miss G, and you know what time it is. It's G time. It's time to get up, get active, and get it together. My purpose is to give advice, encourage change, and empower success. The goal is for us to grow, elevate, and excel. Everyday action is required for change, and you have the power to create change. Oh, happy Friday. It's Friday. We made it through the week. I like to call it Freedom Friday. It reminds me that I have to free myself from a lot of the negative thoughts and the negativity and the doubts and the things that go on around me and tell myself that I can make it. Remind myself to pour positive affirmations and continue to push forward. That's what Freedom Friday is about to me. That's what Friday reminds me. It lets me know that I've made it. I made it through the week, no matter how good or how bad it was. I made it, and I'm going to continue to make it the more I push through. So today I have a quick message for you. And it really just is something that I have been working on throughout the week within myself and also sharing with others. And it's simply talking about how we can get out of our own way. I found this week that I get in my way a lot. I get in my own way a lot. I stop myself from progressing and growing and doing what it is that I know that I should be doing, all because either I have some type of negative thought, or I procrastinate, or simply don't believe that I can get it done. And I know that that doesn't sound good, but the reality is that's what it is. I'm defeated before I even start. And I realize that I get in my own way a lot. And so that led me to saying, okay, well, how can I get out of my own way? Now that I've acknowledged that I get in my way, now that I know that this is what's happening, how do I stop it? And so throughout the week, I posted a couple of things. I posted on Instagram, posted on Facebook, I posted on Anchor Podcast, and on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't seen any of the things from the week, go ahead and check those out. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. And so then you understand a little bit more of what I'm talking about. So it seemed like this has been such a long week, and it really was a short week. Monday was a day off. The kids didn't have school. We had a holiday. Tuesday, pretty normal, quote, quote, right? Our normal quarantine virtual learning day. Wednesday was a little different because it was the inauguration, and I spent a lot of time watching it and really just being empowered, uplifted, motivated, inspired by the greatness that I saw, and hopeful, also hopeful. But throughout this time of continuing to be empowered and inspired, I still allow myself to get in my own way. We had I'm a part of a book club at church, and there's a great book that we're reading, talking about getting out of your own head. I think it's a beautiful book. There's a lot of things that I can acknowledge in my own life and in my own situations, and I saw myself getting in my way during our group discussion, and I was really annoyed with myself, and I really allowed it to play in my mind the rest of the week. I really said to myself, like, why do you do this? Why do you continue to hide yourself? And so that's kind of my message today. Hide. I hide myself a lot. I hide what I think, what I feel, what I know, and I simply will sit back and say nothing. And I thought about it a lot, like, but why? Why do you hide yourself? So, of course, I'm like queen of acronyms, right? So I put together an acronym, and had to just tell myself, this is what you do to yourself when you hide. This is what it feels like. This is what it looks like when you hide yourself. So, first, let me start and say that oftentimes I get in my own way, and I know it. I overthink so many things to the point of even talking myself out of doing it. I don't know if that's you. I don't know if you can relate to me, but that's what happens in my life. I will overthink and kind of talk myself out of it. It's something that so many of us do unconsciously every single day. We get in our own way, and our brains unconsciously hold onto fear, loss, failure, and rejection. I'm an advocate for change. You know that. I say you have the power to create change. And I believe that we have the power to create change. And we have the power to create changes that we want to see in our own lives. But a lot of times we are in our own way and we stop ourselves from being able to make the changes that we want to see. If we continue to get in our own way, we will definitely have a hard time carrying out those changes. So, here's a few tips on how you can get out of your way. For me, I first acknowledge it. I acknowledge and I understand that I'm getting in my way. And I know there's a lot of people who can relate to getting in their own way. I know because I put it on Facebook and I had likes and I had comments saying, I agree, guilty, me too. I get in my own way. So I know I'm not alone. And so since I know that I'm not alone, I know that I'm not going to be alone in the journey of getting out of my way, of helping myself to get out of my way. So as I continue to grow and push and remind myself that I have the power to create change, that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, that I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, I'm going to carry that same thing out and show you better than I can tell you. The second point that I said was to process it. Now that I know it, let me process it. Like I said, I kind of beat myself up Wednesday after our discussion because I was really annoyed with myself and not allowing to be involved and active and share and really engage with the new women in my life. And again, I find myself hiding. I find myself hiding a lot. And so I had to take time to process those thoughts and feelings that I'm having. And so for me, I write things down. I write them down and I evaluate. And yes, I know that can fall into overthinking and procrastinating, right? I don't want to overthink these feelings, but I do want to acknowledge and process them. And once I've processed them, in the words of my good friend Ryan Ross, now I need to knock that door down, kick it down, and keep going. All right? So now that I know this and I've processed this and I've given myself some grace to say, okay, all right, what you gonna do about it? I'm now ready to move forward. So back to hide. I found that when I hide myself, I hinder, I isolate, I destroy, and I enable. Hide, Hide, hide. And so I thought about it like, okay, so what am I hindering myself from? Hinder means to separate or be separated by force, to make slow or difficult the process, to hold back, to prevent. I prevent myself from growing when I hide. I hinder my growth when I hide. I separate myself when I hide. I isolate. I isolate myself. Isolate means far away from other places, buildings, or people. Remote. Yes, we are all kind of remote because we're in a quarantine. We're still in the pandemic. However, even before this, I will isolate myself. I will separate myself from others, hiding. And not intentionally, not on purpose. It's just how I go back into my shell, right? I hide. And so I found that I hinder and I isolate. And then I destroy. Destroy means to ruin, emotionally or spiritually, defeat. In my mind, I have destroyed my positive thoughts. I've destroyed the plan that I've set. I've destroyed working on my goals. I have now, all of a sudden, I become defeated before I even start. And enable. Give the authority or means to do something, to activate. I activate fear when I hide. I enable that fear. And now I am talking myself out of doing even more. So I hinder myself, I isolate myself, I destroy, and I enable when I hide. So, how can I get out of this? Let me tell you a few reasons on why we hide. Okay? It's just not like, oh, we hide just because it's the thing to do. We hide ourselves because, again, I can use the acronym HIDE, HIDE, because we've been hurt, we've been hit, we've been humiliated, we've been ignored, we've been insulted, we've been isolated. We don't just isolate ourselves, we've been isolated at some point in our life. We've been damaged, we've been disrespected, we've been dismissed, we've been excluded, we've been invalued. HIDE. I don't just hinder, isolate, destroy, and enable myself all because I don't believe in myself. But at a point in time in my life, I have been hurt, ignored, insulted, damaged, disrespected, dismissed, excluded. And so I find myself hiding because of those experiences that I've had. So then I said, you know what, Chris? You know what, Miss G? You know what, Chris? It's time to knock it off. I don't want to hide myself because when I hide myself, I'm not sharing what God has given me. I'm not living out my purpose. I'm not being the best that I can be. I am not walking in my own saying of I have the power to create change when I hide. So again, we're going to use the same acronym, HIDE, or we're going to use the same word, and I'm going to change it up a little bit. I need to humble myself. And by humble myself, I mean acknowledge that I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to do things that probably aren't right. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to have to take a step back and correct and fix things. I am not perfect. Give myself to God. Allow Him to work in me as I continue to work in myself and move forward. So I need to humble myself. And then illuminate yourself. And so I found a great definition or phrase for illuminate. It says make visible or bright by shining a light on it. Light up. I'm going to illuminate. Right? I'm going to make visible. I'm going to shine a light on what God has given me, even if I only have one person listening, even if I'm just listening to myself, if I'm just encouraging myself to get through the next step, the next day, the next moment, I'm going to shine a light on what God has for me, in me, and I hope that somebody else can be touched by it. But I'm not going to dim my light. I'm going to shine. I'm going to shine bright, and I'm going to be confident in this because I know that this is what God has given me. After that, we did H, we did I. I am going to delight myself in the Lord. It says, delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. He will make your righteousness shine like the dawn, the justice of your cause like the noonday sun. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Do not fret when men succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. I'm going to delight myself in the Lord, knowing that my will I gave to Him and allowing Him to do in me what it is that He knows that I'm capable of doing. And also saying that I'm going to be patient during the wait time, right? Because sometimes we're waiting. Sometimes we're in a season of waiting and being patient before we get to where it is He's telling us we're going. So I'm going to delight myself in the Lord and lean on Him during this time, even when I'm feeling insecure, even when I'm feeling defeated, even when I'm feeling down, even when I'm feeling hurt, when I'm feeling like I'm being isolated, when I'm feeling like I'm being excluded, when I feel like I can't go on. I'm going to not get stuck there, But I'm going to remember the promises that God gave me. I'm going to remember what he said about me. I'm going to remember, call to my mind the scriptures that he has that I know, and say, if God's before me, why am I against me? Right? If he say that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, if he is saying that I can do all things through Christ, if I have given him my will and I am asking him to give me the desires of my heart, then why am I so scared? Why am I living in fear and hiding myself? And last but not least, I'm going to extend grace to myself. Extend grace to yourself. Show kindness to yourself. Treat yourself how you would treat others who are going through things that you would go through. Say to yourself the same thing you would say to your friend who calls you and says, I feel defeated. I'm not doing well today. I don't know what to do with myself. Give yourself that same pep talk, because you are worth it. I am worth it. And then ask God to help you. Speak truth over yourself. Again, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I am the head and not the tail. I am above and not beneath. Speak those truths, right? Forgive yourself. I may not have been as good to myself as I should be. And I acknowledge that, I process that, and now I'm going to forgive myself and move on in it and start to extend that grace and that mercy and say that if God can give this to me, then why am I not living like he says? Why am I not living in that truth? So that's all I have for you today. Hide. I know that I hide myself, but I'm working on not hiding. I'm not going to hinder. I'm not going to isolate. I'm not going to destroy and damage and enable that fear. But I'm going to humble myself, illuminate, delight myself in the Lord, and extend grace to myself when I fall, because I know that I am not perfect and I will have to continue to forgive and move forward and keep myself going and pump myself up, because no day is always great. I'm going to have some down moments, and so will you. But you have the power to create change, and I have the power to create change. Let's get out of our own way. Let's stop hiding, and let's move forward. It's Friday, Freedom Friday. Free yourself from negative thoughts. Free yourself from everything that's keeping you from doing what you know that you should be doing, and keeping you from living out the purpose that God has for you in this life. You have the power to create change. Happy Friday, y'all. Have a wonderful weekend. Be blessed.